willing to be embraced by the Republicans, yet they came along and supported his tuition cuts, his property tax cuts, also supported opportunities for health care for young people, increased economic development, higher education, reforms in education in the course of the years. We're going to make sure our message gets out, because we know that John Kasich and his Wall Street friends will be well funded.
You mentioned how much you expect Kasich to get. How much is the governor going to have to raise to do battle with that? Is it going to be more difficult this time around than it was in 2006 against Blackwell?
All races are difficult. The great news is we have a governor who's engaged every day in trying to make our state better and stronger, and the people of this state have responded. Even during these tough economic times where no one with any degree of credibility has pointed to the governor and blamed the governor for this downturn in the economy. We understand this is a global recession that has clearly impacted middle-income families the most. Those families have supported the governor because they understand investing in higher education is what we need now to do more than ever. And that's why you see the governor continue to sustain higher approval rates considering the downturn in the economy. We don't take that for granted. We travel every day, we work hard every day to get our message out. We continue to do this. If you recall the summer of 2006, the spring of 2006, when Kim Blackwell and Jim Petro were competing in that primary, we spent a great deal talking about our candidate, Ted Strickland, at the time. We talked about a lot of the things that he would do if elected, and now we're going to continue to reflect on the promises the governor made during that summer and the results of those promises kept during the coming summer.
How much money do you think you'll have to raise?
We'll raise what's needed to combat the special interest dollars that will flow out of Wall Street. You know, John Kasich was very proud about the fact that Richard Full handpicked him out of the United States Congress to be his managing director of investments. I gave him that posh office in Wall Street in New York City, allowed access to all of the things a director, somebody in the leadership team of Lehman gets. And at the time, John Kasich was very pleased to accept all of the gratitude and the platitudes of that relationship. Now it's important that we press John Kasich about that position looking back. Was he, in fact, a part of the decision-making team that helped create, at the time, the largest bankruptcy in the history of this country? Was he part of the team that put 20,000 Lehman Brothers out of work? Why did he get to keep his job once Barclays came in and bought Lehman Brothers out? What, in fact, did he do here in Central Ohio, and how often was he, in fact, here in Central Ohio, if he was at all? What was his role at Lehman Brothers, and how much did he make? Did he receive any bonuses from Lehman Brothers, both before, during, or after the subsequent bankruptcy? What was his position on those particular bonuses that were handed out by the so-called great leader, Richard Full? Those are the questions that we will pose continually to John Kasich during the course of this campaign. It's not because we think we can score political shots. The fact is that Ohioans demand the truth. They demand to know how we got into this economic crisis, and they want to know what John Kasich and his influence had in this crisis we're going through.
Speaking of primaries, changing the subject a little bit, have you talked with Jennifer Brunner at all in terms of we're trying to get her to move back into the Secretary of State's race, or are you just staying out of that?
I have not spoken to Jennifer. I don't say anything, but I've not spoken to her.
Other questions? Any word on what he made from the governor?
Hey, John, step over here. I can't see you.
I'm in that light.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm over here.
I'm sorry about that.
Any word on the running mate for the governor? He said that he thought he'd pick one before the budget negotiations were up.
The governor.
On the running mate, yeah.
The governor will select somebody who is exciting, a great leader in their own right, somebody who's going to embrace this challenge willingly and travel across the state and get our message out. I don't have a timeline. I would refer you to Keith Daly in the governor's office for a selection timeline.
Chris, you mentioned all states being hit hard by the recession, but the statistics show that Ohio has fared worse than most other states. It's near the top of the list in a lot of categories. Does Governor Strickland bear any responsibility for the position Ohio's economy is in today?
Midwestern states, manufacturing-based states like Ohio, Michigan, and others are hit during downturns in the economy. That's why it's especially important that we elect leaders who understand that during these tough, challenging times, great leaders call for investments in the areas that really matter. Imagine, I know Ohioans will think about such things because I'll remind them. Imagine if we had a governor like a Bob Taft who cut investments in higher education. The result was a blooming tuition costs. Imagine if we closed the door for healthcare opportunities for the youngest among us. Imagine if we pushed people out of their homes because they couldn't afford their property taxes. Imagine all of those things, because all of those areas were addressed by this governor in a legislature that was led by this governor during the course of the last 3 years. In states like Ohio, investments in higher education and public education have got to be made for us to compete, not just to compete with Kentucky or Pennsylvania or Indiana, but to compete globally. This governor understands that. This governor also understands that many of the reasons why this economic crisis occurred were out of his hands, but that doesn't mean you shirk. You walk away from this challenge. That means you embrace this challenge. You offer solutions, robust, big ideas, and you carry them forward. The first governor to really offer a concrete proposal to fundamentally change the way we fund education in this state. A recommitment to higher education and a continued commitment to seniors so that they can stay in their homes and keep children getting the health care opportunities that not only they need, but they certainly deserve as the weakest among us. These are the things that Governor Strickland stands for.
The governor, you campaigned on this, you claimed you were going to do this, you didn't get it done.
Well, the party of no continues to offer little in the way of solutions. Doing away with 100 earmarks is not the path to solving our economic crisis. So the facts are quite clear and distinct. If you travel into Republican districts or Democratic districts, those legislators are hearing from families about the necessity, the need, dramatic, that we invest in higher education and that we commit ourselves to truly changing the way we fund public education in the state, using an evidence-based model, ending the foolishness of some of these private schools and refocusing ourselves on kids that are challenged today in Ohio's public schools. These are the things that are going to be able to help grow our economy. Now, I recognize that my friend Kevin DeWine and his candidates will say whatever they can say. You know, if cutting or eliminating the income tax altogether is the pathway to getting elected, I suspect every Republican running for office this term will say just that. It's like Mary Taylor telling us a couple of weeks ago she didn't believe we should use the stimulus dollars for the investments in the state budget. Well, Mary, what do you believe in? Well, John, what do you believe in? If you're going to cut the state income tax, if you're going to eliminate it, what taxes are you going to increase? Because if you don't increase other taxes, John, you will have to eliminate whole programs at Ohio State University. You'll have to walk away from your commitment, our commitment, Governor Strickland's commitment to health care for the weakest among us. You'll have to roll back the initiatives that we've been able to pass through, oftentimes over the objections of the Republicans in the legislature, to make our state competitive, knowing that this global crisis really demands true leadership. That's what the governor is providing. Any questions or thoughts?